Sugar Globe ended up being quite a really impressive cookie and actually has become one of my more favorites to play because of her unique and intricate playstyle. So with this guide, I'm just gonna go over all her promotions, how to build her best teams, how you should use her, and everything else you should need to know about her. So let's get started. With Sugar Globe's passive, whenever she hits an enemy, the enemy gets marked, and after all these marks get maxed out, they will deal damage, kind of similar to Karabi's passive. This damage is called Starfall damage and will occur after Sugar Globe specifically does 5 different ticks of attack. These stacks will appear no matter what type of attack you do with Sugar Globe, as long as it is an attack that can deal damage. And the stacks will only last for 10 seconds on the enemy. Her special skill Memoria Stella, she summons a memory star in the chosen area, so you can aim this wherever you want on the field as long as it's in range, and she gains 5 stacks of Stardust. These Stardust can stack up to 15 times, and for every successful hit with Starfall, she consumes 1 stack and reduces the cooldown of Memoria Stella, which is her own skill. The cooldown of her skill is 14 seconds. You can reduce the cooldown of one skill by 7.5 seconds, which should be half of one entire skill, unless you have one of her promotions which enhances this effect by 100%, which we'll touch on in a second. Her ultimate is probably the most unique in the whole game, and honestly, it's very fun to play with. When she uses her ultimate, she deals damage to all nearby enemies when she is done transforming, and she enhances all her attacks. Basic attacks now fire a crystalline star, and the charge up attack continuously fires crystalline stars while the button is pressed down, and the damage of the special skill is increased. While in Bliss form, all damage dealt by the cookie is considered ultimate damage, making her scaling much more different than many other cookies. And her attack is increased by 50% of this cookie's ultimate damage, increased stat. Her second promotion, which I believe everyone should definitely get, even if you're a free-to-play player, if you decide to invest in her, should be Winter Night Visitor. She increases the damage of Starfall and further enhances the cooldown reduction. The damage is increased by 40% and the cooldown reduction is enhanced by 100%, which I believe is an additive percentage. So instead of 0.5 seconds, I believe it's 1.5 seconds now in total, if not 1 second. It's kind of hard to tell through the timer alone, but it should be more than 1 or if not 1 full second more. In this case, I'm going to take 1.5 seconds for example, and if all 15 stacks of Memoria Stella are used, then the cooldown reduction would be around 22.5 seconds, which should be 1 whole skill in 1/3. With her fourth promotion, Joybringer's Call, she increases the number of hits of memory stars. Memory stars explode when they expire, dealing damage to nearby enemies. The number of hits of memory stars are increased by 1 and explosion damage is 150%. Promotion 5, when she uses her ultimate, she resets the cooldown of Memoria Stella, which is her skill, and increases the damage of crystalline stars by 20%. Now, this is a very powerful promotion that I feel like everyone who wants to invest in one character, and if it's specifically Sugar Globe, should do. Since with promotion 5, she fully gives you your skill back after you use your ultimate and increasing your damage. Now, I must say, this is super powerful. Given any character cooldown is probably the strongest thing you can ever do to a character, because they can unleash attacks much more frequently, thus allowing them to do even more damage. The way her whole kit works, you could possibly dish out 5 to 6 skills all in one turn, thanks to those stacks that help you reduce your cooldown, alongside with the first promotion that reduces that cooldown even more. I think her equipment is quite easy to say what's best for her, as the memory shard set gives you defense penetration. Alongside with that, her ultimate damage is increased by 10% when using your special skill. These can stack up to 2 times and are reset when the ultimate is used. So with Sugar Globe specifically, this is going to be super useful as she scales off ultimate damage, as we've read before, and this is going to be really great on her since after she uses her ultimate, all her damage is considered ultimate damage. So specifically for this set, you want to use your ultimate and then use both your skills, as you'll be able to maximize the increase of ultimate damage plus 20% on your Sugar Globe cookie. The Mysterious Wanderer's Garb could also work, as her passive functionally works kind of like Kurabi's. The Mysterious Wanderer set could technically work, but she doesn't really need this much extra crit rate as she already gets a ton from her own ascensions when you level her up. She doesn't really require the extra additional damage after her attacks, but it could still work, just not at its best. The Solar Knight set, since you get overall damage increase from the light and a light attack, you just get a lot of damage increase, and that's about it. But it's still really solid since the cookie training and so many events, the choice chests, and everything you've been able to get. You probably have this set at 5 stars already, so if you do, this will probably perform better than a 1-star memory shard set. Just overall probably better if you have it 5 stars. So if you have this set 5 stars over your other ones, I definitely recommend it. But if you have 2 to 3 stars on the memory shard set, please use that over the light set. And of course, her best slot weapon will be the Shining Snow one, as she gets more additional total damage and increased on attack. But you can use the typical Boomerang Candy, Sturdy Baguette Staff, and Golden Choco Spear just for the additional stat increase. When it comes to substats, of course, just like every other unit, you just want to have the elements corresponding to them on their weapon, which for Cherry Globe would be double light element substats. For the headgear, depending on what set you're using, you're gonna either want crit rate or crit damage. Then if you have enough crit rate or crit damage thanks to your substats from depending on what set you're using, you just might want some attack in there instead. Same goes for the body wear, you just want attack, either crit rate or crit damage depending on your set. And then the leg wear, you would want either double crit damage or double crit rate, again depending on your set. Your stats overall just depend if you can max out that crit rate through the passes of the sets or your substats after your crit rate reaches 100%, which it should happen if you build her correctly. You should just focus on attack and crit damage afterwards. Now, when it comes to artifacts, of course, Happy Memory is going to be her best slot as this is her signature. You get an increased 25%, which should help you with your previously mentioned substats and overall build. The unique ability of this artifact, direct hits with your ultimate grant the warmth effect, which after you use your ultimate should be every single type of hit that you do. Warmth increases ultimate damage by an extra 25% and increases attack by 20%, lasting for 5 seconds. A very short lasting artifact, but very easy to trigger as you'll probably have an 100% uptime after you use your ultimate, since everything counts as ultimate damage after you enhance her. But if you only have a 1-star, previously mentioned, that crit rate decreases to 8% and the ultimate damage is only by 40%. If they're both going to be at their base copy 1-star, then you definitely want to use Happy Memory over Forgotten Grimoire, as you won't get as much benefit from it. Candy's Drop artifact doesn't really benefit her as she gets debuff amplification, which Sugar Globe will not use. You do get extra crit damage for your special skill, and you get extra crit damage for your ultimate as well by 40%. But honestly, you don't really want that much crit damage on a character. Plus, the whole artifact will not benefit her to the max. So I don't really recommend Extraordinary Origin, but it's definitely a best starting slot. I really think you need Happy Memory for you to unlock, which should be her entire kit. Just like any character, one of her best teams will obviously be the Mono Light team, which would just replace Lemon Zest alongside with Lemon and Wizard Cookie. She is able to perform much better than Lemon Zest on this team, especially since she actually enjoys crit damage much more than Lemon Zest does, since Lemon Zest really prefers attack and elemental damage increases over crit damage increases. Since Sugar Globe is able to output much more damage and long-lasting battles against Lemon Zest, because with Lemon Zest you want to charge up his gauge to then unload and fully do all his damage, which is the one difference they both have. Lemon Zest does his most amounts of damage at certain periods of times, has a cooldown, and needs to charge up everything again to do that big damage at once again. But Sugar Globe is able to output damage along the whole match, which is why she is so good at long-lasting battles like in a raid. We don't have the chance to test her out in Champions Raid quite yet, since the light season hasn't come yet. So we're not able to test her there, but I do believe she's probably gonna perform much better than Lemon Zest there. But Lemon Zest isn't quite bad either, as he's still very used in a lot of areas because his AoE is still probably one of the best. He has amazing AoE coverage. It doesn't feel right when you have to wait to unload all your damage at once, but that makes him good in a game mode like Glass Labyrinth, because you need perfect timings, good precision, quick damage, and Lemon Zest is able to do that really quick. So really quick successions of damage, Lemon Zest performs much better, but in long lasting damage, Sugar Globe definitely is much better there. Obviously, in this team, you could just replace Lemon for Rockstar and Wizard for Candy Drop, as you know, those two are used almost everywhere. You can also swap out Lemon for a Pistachio, since Pistachio now increases light damage, which Sugar Globe should actually use pretty well. So we're probably going to see the Pistachio, Sugar Globe, and Lemon combo in Champion Trade. Besides that, she doesn't have many other options, as the only light tagger is Wizard and the only real good off element tagger is going to be Candy Drop. You have quite a lot of options around supports, but taggers not many, so you're pretty limited on her teams for now as well. Honestly, she's a very easy S tier cookie. She's honestly amazing. I would find it still debatable if she's actually good compared to Lemon Zest, as like I said, they both have their niches, they both have their better uses, and they're both probably not going to stop being used or in the same meta, as they're both light cookies and they both have their uses. Just imagine Sugar Globe is like the single target light DPS, and imagine Lemon Zest as the AoE light DPS. I feel like that's the only and best way I could truly describe it for now. If you should pull her, probably not if you already have a promotion 5 Lemon Zest or a promotion 4 Lemon Zest, but a lot of people are gonna have Lemon Zest thanks to the update, and that gave a lot of people a cream soda and Lemon Zest through the story mode completions. So if you have Lemon Zest as a new player or as a mid player and you got extra copies, or if he's brand new, you probably won't want Sugar Globe, as I believe you definitely want her promotions to want her to feel a little bit more complete. But again, it always comes down to what you guys want to do. If you guys want to have every cookie, then go ahead. If you want to promote her, 5 her, even though you already have a P5 Lemon Zest, go ahead. It's always your decision, but from a meta standpoint, don't pull her if you have a promotion 5 Lemon Zest or a promotion 4. Especially if you're free to play. If you're free to play, you definitely want to save your crystals, as there aren't many ways to get them besides events and obviously the resets of certain game modes. So honestly, just kind of try and be thoughtful if you think you need her or if you want her. So with all that in mind, I think this is it for now. So until next time, this is it then. Bye.